All right, everyone, get ready, because today we're diving into something pretty cool. We're talking about letting users pick their own colors in their apps.
It's way more fun than it sounds.
Way more fun.
Mhm.
Honestly, it's something I think we take for granted. Being able to customize, even if it's just choosing between a few shades, it really changes how you feel about using an app.
It's all about control, giving that little bit of power to the user.
Exactly. So we've been looking at Tkinter, which, if you're just joining us, is a Python library for building graphical user interfaces. And today's deep dive is all about a really neat module within Tkinter called ColorChooser. Excited to dig into this one.
I am. ColorChooser is one of those tools that seems simple on the surface, but can lead to some surprisingly creative applications.
And it all ties into this idea of user experience, right?
Absolutely.
So where do we even begin? What's the core concept here?
Okay, so imagine this. You're building an app, and you want to give your users the freedom to pick their own colors. Maybe for a button, a background, you name it.
I'm picturing a choose-your-own-theme kind of thing.
Exactly. Now, you could go through the hassle of creating your own custom color picker dialog from scratch.
Which honestly sounds like a headache and a half.
Total headache. But luckily for us, that's where ColorChooser swoops in to save the day. It basically acts as a bridge between your Tkinter app and your operating system's built-in color picker.
That's really smart. So it's pulling up that familiar dialog box that users, no matter what they're using, they've seen before.
Precisely. And that familiarity, even if it's subconscious, it makes all the difference.
UGE for that seamless experience.
Big time.
So the user, they see the color picker, they go wild, they click. Okay, walk me through what happens next. How does that choice actually get back into our code, into our app?
Okay, so the magic really happens with a function called askColor. You include this in your code, and when it's called, bam, up pops that color picker dialog we were talking about. The user picks their color, hits OK, and askColor hands you back that color information.
Hands it back. How? Like, what format are we talking here?
This is the cool part. It actually gives you the color data in two super useful formats, hex code and RGB.
Oh, I know hex codes.
Those are the ones web designers love, right? Like 6 digits, letters, and numbers.
Exactly. But RGB, that rings a bell too. Remind me what RGB stands for again.
RGB stands for red, green, and blue.
Right. The primary colors of light.
And those values, they tell you exactly how much of each primary color you need to mix together to get the desired shade. It's like having a digital recipe for your color.
I like that. Digital recipe. Okay, that makes sense. And the article we were looking at on plus2net.com, they use this really clear example of customizing button backgrounds, right?
Yeah, it's a classic use case. Like, imagine you've got an app with a whole bunch of buttons, and you let users decide what color they want each button to be.
Or even if it's just a single button. I'm thinking like create new project button,
Yeah.
and you can pick your color. It's such a small detail, but it just adds this touch of personality.
It's all about making the user feel like they're in the driver's seat.
100%.
Yeah.
But this goes way beyond just buttons though, right?
Oh, absolutely. The possibilities are pretty much endless.
Give me some examples.
Well, think about data visualization. You could let users choose what colors represent different data sets on a graph or chart.
Oh, that makes data way more accessible.
Exactly. Or let's say you're building some kind of creative tool, like a drawing program, letting users pick their colors. I mean, that's a no-brainer.
It's essential. Or how about, I'm thinking if you're building like a note-taking app or a to-do list app, and you can use color choosers to create themes.
Customization is king. That's what it comes down to.
Okay, so we've covered picking colors. That makes sense. But I'm wondering, what about letting users save those color choices?
Oh, interesting. Like letting them create their own color palettes within the app.
Exactly. That would just be so cool. So I can imagine it's probably a lot more challenging, code-wise.
Yeah, it definitely adds some complexity. I mean, you'd need a way to store those color palettes, whether it's a separate file or, adding some functionality to your database. And then you've got to make sure the app knows how to access and actually use those saved palettes.
It's a whole other layer of stuff to think about.
Yeah.
But man, the user experience possibilities, that's something I'm going to be thinking about for a while.
Me too.
It just goes to show something as seemingly simple as letting a user pick a color, it could open up so many doors. So to our listeners out there, what are some creative ways you could use ColorChooser? Let us know.
We want to hear your ideas.
All right, until next time.
See that?